Welcome Youth Group at VCRC and welcome to the Youth Chapel. We are in week 3 of our series from FYI called Can I Ask That? We're asking those awkward questions that maybe we feel wrong that we have, or maybe we just haven't had to think through them yet. Last week we hung out in my car while I was definitely driving in on the road for real, because long drives are a great place for conversations. And so is this room at the Youth Chapel, because hopefully you feel that this building, these nights, are a good and a safe space to connect with friends or leaders and have real conversations. Tonight we're asking a question that my friend Patrick asked me when we were in middle school. As I've said before, I went to public school growing up, and when you get to the 7th grade science class, one of the units you learn about is evolution. I can't say that I remember whether or not this was the first time that I had heard about the theory, but it was certainly the first time that I had really studied it. And this time specifically had my friend Patrick wondering, shout out to PJ if you're watching. Patrick was a church-going kid like me, but it seemed to just make sense to him that our teacher was right and that science backed the idea of evolution. He didn't want to just straight up denounce God, though. And so he asked the question, can you still be a Christian and believe in evolution? And tonight, that's the question that we're asking. Is it possible to believe, worship, and honor God, but still believe in the theory of evolution, or at least parts of it? It's a point of interest that a lot of people, when attempting to refute Christianity, use. How can you believe in God when science has proven things contrary to Scripture? There are a lot of things that go into this question. One big one, something we've talked about before, is how you interpret, understand, read Scripture. If you understand Genesis to be a literal, historical, scientific book, that's going to change how you approach this conversation. Or maybe you think it's more of a poetic retelling of history. That'll absolutely change the friction levels with the scientific theories. That leads to our understanding of the creation timeline. Are you a new creation person, thinking that the world, the earth, the universe is roughly only 3,000 years old? Give or take 1, 2, I don't know. Or are you an old earth person that thinks that these 7 days of creation aren't literal 24-hour periods as we currently know them, but more like 7 different periods of time? This isn't exactly the easiest question to answer, and it definitely doesn't help either that there are some big-name Christian brains that are on opposite aisles of this conversation. C.S. Lewis is a proponent of understanding and reading into the imagery and symbolism throughout Scripture, and that it paints a beautiful picture of the world that God's created and what is to come. John MacArthur, on the other hand, holds to reading everything very literally. 2 smart dudes, 2 different views. So, good luck, I guess. But tonight, let's discuss it. Let's try to understand each other's perspectives. Let's challenge our own views. Let's ask that hard question together. Can you still be a Christian and believe in the theory of evolution?